Holy, here we go again, Batman.
Hey guys, thank you so much for listening to the Nerdsync podcast. We got a great show for you today. We're going to talk about the best of Batman. This is stuff like the best Batman movie, the best Batman actor, the best representation of the character in all types of different media. We also are touching on the best Robins and the best Batmobile, and it's all going to lead up at the very end to what we think is the best Batman moment or the most iconic thing about the character, and this is a personal reflection of Batman, so keep that in mind. This is not a comprehensive list, but it's more in line with when we think of Batman, these are the things that pop into our heads as the best fill in the blank that we're going to be talking about. So your own personal list will probably vary from our own, but that is totally fine. We're all nerds here, all right? We can get along in nerd unity. And you know what, guys? Unity is not uniformity. That got weird really fast. Let's just get right into the episode and stick around till the end where I provide some additional context to things we were talking about, mostly things that we forgot the names of. You'll know what I mean? So let's start talking about some Batman. With Gotham coming up, I felt like we should talk about Batman, which is, it's a rough subject because a lot of people really like Batman, but there's a lot of people that really don't like Batman. And I want to say, hopefully, that this podcast will have something for everybody, whether you hate him or you like him. But first, let's introduce ourselves. I'm Scott.
I'm Chris.
And I'm Bryce.
And so the way I just got done telling you guys the way that I want this to work, and I should have said this ahead of schedule, but I didn't. The way that we're going to tackle this is we're just doing the best of Batman. So we're going to do best aspects of everything, from like the best actor, the best, I guess we might do the best costume or something. I have a whole list of things. But then at the very end, we're going to do the best Batman anything, which is our personal, what we think of when we think of Batman and like the best, most iconic thing about Batman, from anything, from comic books, movies, video games, whatever. And that applies to all the other topics as well. So I thought I wanted to jump, just because it's the first one on my list, and my list is in no particular order. I wanted to start with, because these two go hand in hand as well, the best Batman actor / best Batman movie. And they can be different, obviously, but I thought they go hand in hand. So does anybody have a strong opinion to start off? Batman movie / actor. I'm going to give it to Ben Affleck already. I just calling it.
I thought about saying Ben Affleck just for the heck of it.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not going to say Ben Affleck because we haven't seen him in action. Mm-hmm. But I will say, even though a lot of people didn't like Christian Bale because of his terrible Batman voice, I feel like he looked the most like Batman in my headcanon out of all the actors that played Bruce Wayne.
Yeah, I think he I think he definitely looked like Bruce Wayne. I think I'll say out of probably, I guess I would say all of the live action actors so far, I think he looks the most like Bruce Wayne would look in my head. So I agree with you on that part. But do you think he's the best Batman?
He carries the suit well, but his Batman voice, at first I never thought anything about it until somebody said something, and then after that it was like I couldn't unhear it. I was like, oh my gosh.
You know what's really
terrible.
Yeah, you know what's really interesting about that is you can watch his audition tape for Batman, and one of the things they say about it, I think one of the things Christopher Nolan says about it is, you know, we chose Christian because he really understood that Bruce and Batman are two different characters, and that's what he brought with the whole Batman voice thing. And I think they really honestly chose him, not just because he's good and he looks the part, but because they were like, oh, that's interesting, he does a neat voice. Let's get that guy on board because he knows how to do it. But also, if you go back and watch Batman Begins, his voice is so much higher, I guess. I mean, it's still like the Batman voice, but it's not as refined as it is in the other two movies because they have to like fix everything in post to make it a little bit more bassy and right. Yeah. So, so Bryce, what did you have?
As far as best Batman, I have a really hard time with because especially now that I've looked it up for this podcast, I would say best Batman still goes to Christian Bale.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, but after I started looking specifically at some of the renditions of the costume and everything, I realized that the Batman, when I think of Batman, when I see Batman in my head, I don't see the Christopher Nolan movies bat suit.
Right.
If that makes sense.
Yeah.
What I see is the older style dark blue cowl and cape with the gray body and the bright yellow utility belt and the bright yellow background on the black bat symbol on his chest. That's who I see when I see Batman. So it's really weird because from an acting standpoint, I still feel like I like Christian Bale's Batman.
Sure, yeah.
But it's not like the defining Batman, if that makes sense. Like, right. I still feel like there's room for improvement.
We'll go with, and that's why I wanted to split this up into a couple different topics, because that's like more on the costume side of it, I guess. But just in terms of actor who portrayed Batman the best, are you both still going with Christian Bale? Because I know, Chris, you were saying like maybe not because of the Batman voice, but
I'm kind of going halvesies on this one because I think he portrayed the best Bruce Wayne.
Yeah, I'll agree with that. I completely agree.
Absolutely.
So, I'll give you that much.
Okay.
Yeah, I would say as far as fulfilling the entire character, then yeah, because of how well I think he represents Bruce Wayne. Mm-hmm. I'd say so far he's still my pick for best Batman.
Okay.
So
I'm going to for my pick, I'm gonna take the easy way out and say Kevin Conroy, purely because of the consistency at which he's able to portray Batman on such amazing levels each time for his performance. And that's the voice when I'm reading a Batman comic. His voice is the voice that I hear inside of my head because he's just, I don't know. He's just, he is Batman to me. That his voice and his acting, I love it.
I'm going to be that guy and say I haven't seen a lot of his stuff, so.
What? Bryce, Kevin Conroy is the best. He sounds like Batman sounds.
No, you all right, so have you played any of the Arkham games except Origins?
I've played none of the Arkham games.
Bryce!
Oh, man.
I thought that was going to be an easy one for you because you're a game person and I'm not. Have you seen pretty much almost any animated you've seen like Justice League, the animated TV show. Yeah, that's Kevin Conroy. Of course, Batman the animated series back in the day. I think that's when he got his start as Batman. I could be wrong on that one.
And, I really do like his Batman voice in those cartoons because, like I said, when I think of Batman, I think of kind of that older style. Yeah. And so I would more hear his voice. It's just that I didn't have a name or a face to really put it with.
It's Kevin Conroy, and you're welcome for him being amazing.
I'm really surprised nobody threw out Adam West.
He's great. He's wonderful, and I will talk about Adam West Batman probably some more in this episode. He's not my definitive when I think of Batman actors. That's the one I think of.
No, he's not it for me either, but it's at the same time, it's Adam West.
It's Adam West. Let's give him, I think, in everybody's heart. Yeah, he's always in there. So we've talked about actors, I guess. What about movies? What is your favorite Batman movie of all time? Chris?
I saw Chris's smirk.
He was like,
I have a collection of favorite moments from the Batman movies, but I have a difficult time picking any certain one because there hasn't been one that fulfilled everything I wanted from a Batman movie yet.
Do you have one that sticks out above the rest, maybe?
If I had to pick one, okay, this might be an unconventional choice, or it might be a totally mainstream hipster kind of choice. But I'm going to go ahead and say the first Batman movie with Michael Keaton.
All right, yeah,
and for a very specific reason, and that's because the Joker actually, spoiler alert, the Joker actually dies, like he's dead. At the end of the movie. And I wasn't expecting that at all, because if you remember from The Dark Knight, the Batman saves him, which is a much more Batman thing to do. But I felt like that was like really true to life, kind of thing, like a really realistic sort of moment. And I've always appreciated that from Tim Burton's film because he went that far.
Yeah, it almost made it seem like Batman was fallible instead of, oh, nope, Batman saves everybody. Because Batman doesn't kill, right? Yeah, at least in the more modern sense of what we think of Batman.
Well, the first movie had a sense of finality to it. And when I think of The Dark Knight, I think of disappointment because it's like, well, Heath Ledger is gone, so now we can't see Christopher Nolan continue that storyline. So there's always that plot thread hanging there. But the first Batman movie, it was one and done. You can watch that and get the full Batman experience.
I totally agree with that. Because that's something that Dark Knight is an amazing movie. And you're right with Joker and everything. I really wanted to see a continuation of that. All right, maybe this is just me. I don't know. When you guys were watching Dark Knight for the first time, did you feel like it was going to end a couple times? Like throughout the movie, you're like, well, this is a good wrapping up spot for this movie. It's probably going to end soon. And then it just continues for another hour. I had that like so many times. And so there was a continual point when I was watching it for the first time that I'm like, oh, hey, I guess Joker, like the point where Joker escapes from jail after blowing up a guy's body with the cell phone inside of him. And then Harvey Dent gets all scarred up. Rachel dies. Spoilers for if you haven't seen Dark Knight.
Thank you for spoiling the entire movie.
Sorry.
It's been out for a couple of years. Come on.
There's that part right after that where it doesn't hit a lull, but it hits almost like this is like a really good stopping point if they wanted to take it from here to continue it in the next movie. But no, they just keep on going, and which I liked a lot. But yeah, the whole movie felt like there was never going to be any stop to it. It was always going to be, here's a new thing, and especially the ending just felt like really open that we needed some more closure on. Bryce, do you have a favorite Batman movie?
Ooh, now see, here's the thing.
All right.
Are
you going to say you've never seen a Batman movie either?
No, I've seen lots of
I don't know. Who is Batman? Why are we doing this podcast about, he's half bat, right? Is he an alien? Like a half bat alien? I don't understand.
Yes, I think, right? Mm-hmm. And at night he grows fur and wings and flies away.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, but a lot of like mythological things are like during full moons. He's during like the new moon type of a thing because it's dark. It's the darkest, and he's like Batman at dark and night and stuff. Yeah, we'll write that.
that went a little actually interesting.
Actually, hold on. Can we write this? Let's write this. But we can't. We obviously can't use Batman. But we'll
just make it Man Bat.
Yeah, okay, because we can totally use that. He's not also a character in the Batman universe. But anyway.
Man Bat a character.
Oh my gosh, Bryce. Why do we invite you to these things?
I'm sorry, I'm not
kidding,
as up on
everybody.
comic books.
No, it doesn't
need a
matter.
Control group.
Yeah, we need Bryce is here. Yeah, Bryce is totally here as our control group. If we go a little too far, we know, all right, we need to bring it back. We got it's the Bryce scale, and that's how we judge everything that we talk about. What were you going to say about Batman movies?
Oh, I was going to say that I think my favorite would have to be not a live action movie.
Yes. All right.
If that makes sense.
Yeah, totally.
And also not specifically a Batman movie.
Okay.
And that's because I like the incorporation of an entire universe into a movie as opposed to just having one superhero versus like one villain. Not saying we should throw a lot of villains at him because we see how that worked with Spider-Man.
Right.
But I really appreciated the Batman that was in the latest Justice League movie.
The Justice League War?
Yes.
Yeah.
I really liked that Batman.
Was that what it was called? Justice League War? I'm second guessing myself now.
War.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure it was Justice League War.
All right. Well, the internet will let us know. We can't go look it up now. We've already started recording the podcast. No, I totally agree with you. I think that's a good representation of Batman, and I might even bring that up later. We keep making allusions to things we'll talk about later. It's just more.
We only have like a 45-minute podcast.
Yeah.
So
more Batman right after this. Stay tuned. Yeah, so that's
same bad time, same bad channel.
Exactly.
Perfect.
Oh boy. Yeah, I think that's a great movie. I think it represents Batman very well in a team aspect as well. And it's kind of earlier Batman is, because he's not. Obviously, the Justice League is still forming, or it is the origin of the Justice League, and the police are after, this is a totally aside. Do you prefer Batman working with the police or against totally against the police? Like they're hunting him down and everything like that.
I wouldn't say totally against the police, but I would definitely say I like that tension. I like that tension between how he's the vigilante and the police are like, oh, we don't need vigilantes.
Okay.
You know?
Yeah, I think so.
So there's like that tension there, but at the same time, he's got Gordon on his side.
Sure.
But like the actual police mindset, I guess, of Batman is that they're like, okay, yeah, he does good things, but he still needs to knock it off.
Right. Yeah. Come on, quit it, Bat. Come on, Bat guy. What's your deal? All right. I'm going to have to say for my favorite, I hate that I went last because you guys had such interesting choices, but I might go with The Dark Knight just because it was one of those movies that I left the theater. I think it was one of the only movies where I left the theater going, I want to see that again immediately right now. I want to buy tickets and just watch it over and over again because I don't know. I just found it super, super good. And I know a lot of that was mostly because of the performances of everybody else other than Batman. And the story was really good. And I don't know. I just like it. I know it's not a very interesting choice, but it's an honest one, I think. So with that said, I guess we should move on. Here's a big one that I thought about. In any sort of medium, whether it be movies or TV shows or video games or comic books, obviously, who do you think, or not really who do you think, but what do you think is the best incarnation / representation of Batman? And I'll give you my example in case you need some time to think on this. So for me, it's I love the Arkham games. I think especially Arkham Asylum. I think Arkham City is my favorite, but Arkham Asylum really captures that vibe of who Batman is, because when I was playing it for the first time, really early on, you do this detective mode where you're like scanning things and you're like, oh, hey, here's like some sort of alcohol thing. And then like we have to follow the drips down the hallway or something. I'm like, oh, that's really cool. It's Batman being a detective. And there's like all these scenes, or not scenes, I guess, but all these missions kind of where you're on gargoyles and like lurking in the shadows. And I thought that was really cool. It's Batman as a hunter, Batman as a detective, Batman as a fighter, because I had that really awesome fight style that was new to me because I'm not a big gamer, but it was really fluid and I liked that a lot. I felt Arkham Origins overdid it on the detective mode because he almost was able to like see the past by like saying, oh, hey, here's a bullet hole here and here's like a thing over here. Based off of that, I can be able to see exactly what happened in the past 3 hours ago or something. I'm like, that's a little ridiculous. Let's not go that far. But with that game and being in Arkham Asylum, and I felt like that especially captured the vibe of what Batman is, in my opinion. So I think that's my vote for the best representation of the character. So
I would have to say that it's weird because I'm inclined to agree with you, even though I've never played the game.
Yeah.
Because that's something I feel like we miss a lot with Batman, is that he is supposed to be a detective. Mm-hmm. You know, that's part of his story arc. That's kind of who he is. He is, the knight. But at the same time, he is like a detective. That's what he does. He solves crimes. And he has this utility belt that's full of just all sorts of unique and neat tools that he has and little gadgets, but all we really see ever come out of that are weapons. Mm-hmm. And it's like, what happened to all the really neat detective-y kind of things that he would use, like scanners or some sort of dusting stuff that illuminates hidden, I don't know, fingerprints or something.
Yeah, that's something that I think at least the Nolan trilogy, they both did well and also kind of poorly. With Dark Knight, I think you had that even that little tiny sequence when he's doing like scanning a bullet for fingerprints and like getting a location and everything. Even that little thing was a little glimpse at Batman as a detective, and that makes sense. And I wish they would have done that more, and I hope they do that more in live action movies. But also with that movie, with The Dark Knight, and really just all except Batman Begins, I think they really don't use like batarangs or a lot of gadgets. It's usually just the grapple gun and then punching people, and then that's it. Or I don't know. So I wish I hope they do more Bat gadgets in future movies.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I really hope so too.
Chris, what do you got for your favorite representation / incarnation of Batman in anything? Go.
Well, you kind of stole my answer, Scott. I was gonna say the Arkham series for all the same reasons. Especially because Arkham City and Arkham Asylum had Mark Hamill. Who is the Joker.
He is the Joker.
I wish he could play him somehow in live action. Mark Hamill is like amazing and all that.
Yeah.
I sound like a teenager saying that, but he's so good at it, and I wish I had his talent. So I'm gonna give a different answer and say that the original Batman the Animated Series also starred Mark Hamill as the Joker. Yeah, I'm gonna say that because that's the one that makes me feel like anything could happen because it's animated, and it had all the right elements. There wasn't anything missing, like Batman doesn't sound right or something.
Yeah, and that's we've talked about this before. I don't know if we did it on the podcast or probably just off the podcast, but we talked about Batman movies rarely ever hitting that point that you were talking about with where anything can happen, where you can have someone like Clayface in live action. That's never been a universe. I don't think they've ever built up a universe in live action where that could happen. They probably won't, but it'd still be, it's still something that's neat to see in the animated series, and even the Arkham games still had this a little, even though like you can have people like Clayface and Killer Croc and all that stuff, it still wasn't as I guess fun and quote goofy-ish as the animated series or some of that stuff where it's you have Gotham, which is both dark and horrible and terrible, but also kind of a little bit silly. And I think the animated series really hit that balance really well. All right, let's go with best Robin then, because Chris, you said you had an answer for that one already off the top of your head. Well, go for it then, Chris, Mr. Answers.
I'm going to say the best Robin was the one in the Adam West era Batman.
The Burt Ward Robin. The one that starts off this podcast by saying, "Holy, here we go again, Batman."
Yes, because even though it's meant to be cheesy and all that, and I know there was Chris O'Donnell, who wasn't a bad Robin, to be fair, but I feel like Burt Ward was the closest to the one that we have in the comic books, which we have not seen yet on film. And then you have the almost Robin in the Nolan trilogy. So Burt Ward just really sort of carried that whole boy wonder type of thing.
I agree. What about just of the people who have been Robin? Do you have a favorite between like Dick Grayson, Damian Wayne?
I don't know. I have a hard time on that one because there's a lot of Robins, and then you have the whole Nightwing thing where he grows up and all that, and then the Damian Wayne thing where he's like mad at Bruce Wayne and stuff. Which, a side note, the game Injustice: Gods Among Us, I felt had a really neat portrayal of the Nightwing character. But that's just an aside. But
I was gonna say another aside.
An aside to your aside. I see your aside and I raise you an aside.
Exactly. Did you see that? I forget his name and I feel so bad because I'm subscribed to his channel. The guy that's making the Nightwing series.
Oh yeah,
he's like officially making it now.
Oh, that's nice. Like, isn't it something like Isma Hawk or something? Is that the one I'm talking about?
I think so. I feel really bad.
I don't know his name either, but I know his channel's something like that. We'll probably. I was gonna say we'll link to it, but this is an audible thing. We can't put links anywhere.
Yeah, but I did see that it's gonna be like 6 episodes, like a mini series. But he has stated specifically he is not working with DC Comics or anybody else that produces Batman stuff. He's like, I'm not making any money off this. Nobody sue me, please. He made that statement, which made me kind of laugh.
I like it because from what I've seen, even the mask has just the pure white eyes.
Yes.
Which is really cool. It's something that I wish they would do more often in live action things. I don't know if it would translate well, but it looks neat anyway. But yeah, that's Dick Grayson, Robin. If we can segue back into Robins, I guess. He's all, I think he's the classic one. When people think of Robin, they might think of Dick Grayson Robin. I'm more partial to Jason Todd Robin, who dies and then comes back from the Lazarus Pit, but then goes kind of crazy, and now he's more of an anti-hero as the Red Hood. And I really like him a lot because he's not just your goody-goody Robin. But in terms of just people who have portrayed Robin, totally with you on Burt Ward. I think he's just so in there, like he's so committed to that kind of goofy role as Robin, and it's wonderful. It's magic what he portrays. This is a little I just did this on my whiteboard right now. I was treating it like an iPad, and I tried to swipe up, and it's not touch compatible, guys. It is a whiteboard. I have a problem. All right, so yeah, Bryce, you said you wanted to talk about Batmobiles.
Yeah, honestly, because we just got the image for the new Batmobile that's going to be coming out in Superman versus Batman, which I still think is an interesting title considering we're throwing a bunch of other people into this movie now.
Is
it really going to be Batman versus Superman?
It's called Batman v Superman: Dawn of Justice.
Dawn of Justice. It's like someone online compared it to when they did Captain America: The First Avenger. How the title is really it's meant solely to be a teaser for what's coming. So you have Captain America, the First Avenger teaser. There's more Avenger stuff coming. Batman v Superman, Dawn of Justice teaser. There's more justice coming.
Captain America, the Winter Soldier. Winter is coming.
Winter is coming.
And now we have Game of Thrones.
Oh boy. Well, I guess sure.
Yeah, that artwork came out though with the new Batmobile, and honestly,
it wasn't artwork; it was a picture.
Okay,
picture. Is picture art?
Bad.
I don't know.
Pictures are artworks.
Okay. I don't know things. What is art? Someone should make a video like that on the internet.
Oh, and then everybody would tell them they're wrong because art is objective or subjective. Is it objective?
Yeah. No. Somebody. I was making a reference that I think maybe one person who listens to this podcast gets. So congratulations to you, person. Anyway, Bryce, Batmobiles.
Yeah, Batmobiles. Honestly, I really like the new one. I liked the one in the Christopher Nolan movies. I'm gonna be honest. That sleek kind of, it looks like a heavy tank, but at the same time, it's really sleek and kind of cool looking. But this one has like a double barrel machine gun.
Yeah, a lot of people are complaining about that. Like, why does Batman need guns on the Batmobile?
Why did all the other Batmobiles shoot bullets and rockets?
That was my response as well, and I feel like everyone didn't want to hear it from me. I feel like they just really want a reason to hate this movie.
Yeah, I was gonna say this one. The only difference between this one is that the guns aren't hidden. He's just rolling out into town like, boom. Look at all these guns. Don't mess with me.
I also said if you want to be generous, you could just say that they're beanbag rounds, and he just shoots them at pedestrians or something. I don't know. But yeah, did you have a favorite Batmobile? Did you like? I mean, is this going to be your favorite Batmobile?
I think once we see how this works, it could possibly be my favorite.
Yeah.
Just because the style of it, I really like that it actually looks like just an all-around massive utility vehicle.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
It looks like it could traverse just about anything. So
I totally
like all
agree.
the wheels instead of being under it are out to the side so they can move independently. And I'm like, hey, that's great for, running over buses full of people like he did in the Christopher Nolan movies, and nobody said anything about people dying.
Freaking that movie in Batman Begins, when he's debuting the Batmobile and he runs over cop cars and cop cars flip over and Alfred gives the line, "It's a miracle no one was hurt." I'm like, bull crap. Are you kidding? It's one thing to say it's a miracle nobody died, but if you say it's a miracle nobody got hurt, I do not believe that at all.
I don't
that nobody got hurt. Not a chance.
He launched rockets and blew up a bus that was blocking his way.
That's true.
If I remember correctly. It's like, okay, how many vehicles did he blow up with that thing? That's killing people. There are people in those vehicles.
At the very least, someone's hurt, even if it's emotionally. I'm
It's just like
emotionally
in those
traumatized.
movies, like Man of Steel, when you have skyscrapers falling, somebody had to die.
Somebody-
Well,
doesn't know
well,
there.
in a previous podcast with Ross, when we talked about the Flash, Ross's theory was that less people still died, but less people died because secretly Flash was around, quickly zooming through the buildings and gathering up people faster than the human eye can detect. That's why they never caught him on camera in the Man of Steel movie, which I think is a brilliant theory, and I will ride with that.
Flash is always there to clean up the mess because just none of the other superheroes pay attention.
That's right. He's there. He's saving people in a flash. I'm gonna say my favorite Batmobile purely because I don't know. It's the one that I think of instantly. I don't know if it's necessarily my favorite via like just based on I like how it looks or the uses for it, but just it's what I think of is the Tim Burton Batmobile. In those movies, just because it has those giant like bat wings on the back of it, and it's got that a turbine engine in the back. Yeah, it's
I will say that the look of that one is just a style all its own.
Yeah.
Like it is incredible.
That's not something that you could that Wayne Enterprise was building, and all of a sudden it's like, oh hey, does it come in black? I'll take this. This is like a custom specific bat themed vehicle, and it's so good.
Honestly, to me, that makes it more true to the comics. Mm-hmm. You know, something goofy and something that obviously wouldn't exist in real life like that. Right. I think that makes it more true to the comics. I like that.
Yeah, sure. Chris, do you have one off the top of your head?
Yeah, I was gonna say the one from the Tim Burton movies, but I'm going to say more so the Joel Schumacher ones. You know, like Batman and Robin, that one.
Okay.
Because, like you said, it's a style all its own, and it really looks like what I imagined it would look like in the comic books.
Yeah.
You know, and of course you have those moments where they're suiting up and you get very close images of George Clooney's butt, you know.
Yep.
And they're suiting up and there's the Batmobile and the Robin's motorcycle. And I was like, yeah, that's exactly what the Batcave looks like.
Sure.
At that point, you could almost hear the transition music from the cartoons.
Exactly. So good. But I guess really quickly, because it's the only way we can do this without going into like a lot of detail. Really quickly, I want to touch on the best Batman villain, because a lot of times people talk about Batman is nothing without his villains, and I think that's true. I think Batman has a lot of great villains to oppose him, and that's what makes him cool to read and fun to read and entertaining. So I gave a lot of thought to my answer. And it's not the Joker, because I feel like that's a classic response. And the Joker's great. The Joker's really entertaining and really fun to read, and also very disturbing in a lot of cases. But I don't know if he's my favorite. So do you guys, I want to throw this out to you guys first, if you have a favorite Batman villain ready to go off the top of your head from anywhere in any medium.
Oh no, I mean I have a kind of a favorite just because of the actor that plays him in the movie.
Sure.
But I mean the Joker is the best one, man.
All right. So I think you guys came to the consensus that Joker is the best Batman villain. Sure. I mean that's basically I think almost all of humanity would agree with you on that one. I will say in terms of my favorite one to read, I'm a big fan. Screw it. Joker's the best. Who cares?
Yeah, right? I'm having so much trouble with this, but actually I have an interesting entry.
All right, go for it.
I'm going to say Scarecrow.
That was going to be what I was going to say.
Scarecrow.
Okay, yeah.
And I only remembered this because I was actually looking up something not related to this, and I saw an image online of Scarecrow from Never Fear. Okay. Which is from the animated series when Scarecrow's making the serum that's supposed to make everybody not have fear anymore. But then the problem is everybody that doesn't have fear starts going around doing stupid stuff and they're going to end up killing themselves. But the Scarecrow, I can remember being a kid watching this animated show. And the way he looks, I mean, if you don't know what I'm referring to, you should look it up. But the way he looks in this episode, almost strikes fear into you because it's not your typical bag face scarecrow. Yeah, it's not the typical bag face. It's like shadowy, creepy, beady white eyes. Just all around creepy looking.
I remember watching another Batman animated show called The Batman, and I think it was Scarecrow. It wouldn't make sense if it was anyone but Scarecrow. There was an episode where he threatens Batman that he released some sort of... it's been such a long time, so this is very abridged and probably wrong, but he threatened Batman to release some sort of toxin on the city that was turning everybody into like these crazy creatures that were almost like zombie-esque, and they were like going and converting other people into the zombie things. And also Batman had to, maybe there were bombs around the city. I don't know. The stakes were high. It doesn't matter. But the point is that the twist was, as everyone started turning into these zombies, Batman was the only one left. But the twist was that Batman was actually hit with the fear toxin earlier in the episode, and that he was seeing everybody as these zombies, but the people who were zombies were totally fine. So, and it was just him who was freaking out about it. And I thought that's a really good twist. I will say my favorite to read will probably be Riddler, even though there hasn't been a lot of Riddler stuff in comics, in terms of like big storylines with Riddler. But Batman Year One was super good. And also just kind of really off the cuff. Have you guys ever seen Holy Musical Batman?
No.
I have not.
I implore
but I've heard
you.
Lots of things about it.
I implore you to watch it. It's a full-length musical on YouTube. It's like over 2 hours long, and it's wonderful. And one of my favorite things they do is make fun of Two-Face, because they always say Batman villains. They make this joke in there that Batman villains are like, all the Batman villains are the same. They're just a guy in a suit with a thing on his head. They got Riddler, who's a guy in a suit with the question mark hat on his head. They got Two-Face, who's a guy in a suit with a scar on his head. They got Mad Hatter, who's a guy in a suit with a big hat on his head. And they just go through that list, and then but they also make fun of Two-Face and like, yeah, Two-Face is the worst. His theme is the number 2. What's he gonna do? Rob the Second National Bank of all its $2 bills? And then he comes in, he's like, yeah, on February 2nd. And it's just
that's great.
It's wonderful. And so I say go watch that if you haven't. But now I say let's move on to the best Batman anything, the big moment of the podcast. You guys, this is what we've been training for. This is what everyone's been waiting for, and now I'm stalling. So let's move on. Who wants to go first? The best Batman anything of your mind. This is what you think of Batman as. Go. Not everyone at once.
I'm really sorry. I'm still trying to figure out what episode this is from.
Bryce is talking. Chris, go for it.
I guess I'll go. Like earlier, I mentioned I was conflicted about The Dark Knight because Heath Ledger passed away and was not able to continue Nolan's story. I was going to say, if you would have asked me years ago, I would have said the moment where Batman saves him at the end of the movie, The Dark Knight, and the Joker's like, me and you were destined to do this forever. And I had that moment where I was like, yes, that's Batman and the Joker. They're dynamic. And to me, that was the Batman moment. But since then, I have changed my answer. And I hate to be such a fanboy of the Nolan trilogy, but the very end of The Dark Knight Rises, spoiler alert. Spoiler alert. The moment where Commissioner Gordon figures out who Batman is, and he has that one little thought moment where all of a sudden he realizes he's like Bruce Wayne, and then the whole rest of the time he's thinking about it. He can't stop thinking about it, and throughout the last sequences and the scenes, you see him, his face is downcast, and he's like, "Whoa!" Now it all makes sense. That to me, that was the Batman moment for me, where Commissioner Gordon finally understands.
Now hold on, now, Chris. Are you telling me that Bruce Wayne, the millionaire, is Batman?
Yes.
No. What?
Well, you see, that's the thing, though, because he realized he was like, all this time, Bruce Wayne, he hasn't been a gigantic douche. You know, he's been Batman.
It's that I like that. I've expressed in the past that I'm not a huge fan of that movie, but it does have good parts, and I think that's, although I'm maybe it's just because I'm not a huge fan of Batman just basically telling everybody or everyone figuring out who he is. I feel like Gordon is definitely one of those people where if you're going to reveal yourself, do it to that guy because he's earned it. And also Gary Oldman's my favorite actor that's ever lived. So, you know,
Yes, he is. He was the perfect choice for Commissioner.
He's so good. I just want to...
Yeah, he absolutely was.
I want a solo... I wanted him to be in Gotham, in the Gotham TV show. I know that wouldn't work.
Yes.
But
that would be so incredible.
I wanted him to just reprise that role, and it would be the most amazing thing in the world. Even if he just comes on as a cameo, which, again, they will never do, because he's way too big now to do any sort of TV roles, I think. But still, I love him so much. My favorite, my thing when I think about Batman, the one thing that I think of instantly is this little short dialogue between Batman and Superman in in Superman the animated series. It's not even a Batman specific cartoon. It's where and it made its rounds along the internet recently, which is where I got reacquainted with it and said, "Yep, that's it. That's the best moment." It's when Superman's talking to Batman. They just saved Lois Lane, and Superman says, "I couldn't have saved Lois without you." And Batman said, "I'm aware of that."
just Batman being Batman. That's incredible.
Man, that's such. That to me is Batman, and that's the moment that I pick as the best Batman moment. Bryce, did you find your thing?
I did not find my thing, but I am hoping that with the other two minds in the room, well, in the virtual room. Gosh, this is driving me nuts because I should know what it is because I just watched it less than a year ago.
We can probably help you out. Tell us what your moment is.
I think one of my, as soon as you said, think of, when you think of, the best Batman thing ever, when you think of Batman, this is what you think of. Mm-hmm. I immediately jumped to a scene that I absolutely loved. And the thing is that this scene has no fighting in it, no crazy over-the-top Batman action.
Yeah.
It's... Gosh, if I could remember what show or movie it was in, that would make it so much easier for me to explain.
Right.
But it's the scene where there's this little girl that's super overpowered, and she's about to release an energy blast that's going to destroy the entire city or the entire world or something. Everybody's like, "Oh my gosh, what do we do?" And Batman just kind of is I got this. And so he walks into this world, through this portal that this girl's created, and he sits down on a swing set next to her and just starts talking to her.
Oh my god.
Just as a friend.
I know this.
You know it. Yeah, you know it.
And you know it. Oh, man.
It's such a beautiful scene because you see such a softer side to Batman where he's just talking to this little girl about this world that she's created, and she's I've got all this anger that I just need to release all of it. I wish I could go back and watch it right now. That way I could explain it better. But it creates such a beautiful moment. And we see Batman talking to her, and he kind of poses the question well, you can blow up the world and nobody will know the difference because we'll all be dead, or you can not do that and, kind of let us all live. But it really, you're
his
the one
arguing skills.
Exactly. And it's he brings up, you're the one with the power right now, so this is your choice. And then it cut scenes outside of the portal where everybody's standing around oh my gosh, what's going on? And Batman walks through the portal with this little girl cradled in his arms. Mm-hmm. And he walks out and he's we're all good now. And then he just walks away, and it's that is so cool. That is such an emotional, just beautiful moment.
Man, you're totally right. That is an amazing moment that in that scene. Man, Chris, are you looking it up?
Yeah, but I couldn't find it.
Okay. Somebody will yell at us.
It's an animated movie, or animated cartoon.
Yeah, somebody will leave the comment, "I can't believe you didn't know it was this." And then we'll know. Then we'll always know, and we'll never forget it. For those of you who are enthusiastically shouting at your listening device or typing rapidly on a keyboard to tell us where the clip that Bryce was talking about is from, do not fret. He found it mere moments later after we stopped recording. It's from Justice League Unlimited, and we're going to go ahead and post the YouTube video clip of that, if you want to watch it, to our Patreon feed. But let me explain what that is, in case you don't know. So we recently started a Patreon page that is, think of it like Kickstarter, but instead of one large project that you donate a lot of money towards, it's smaller monthly tips for ongoing projects like the podcast or like Comic Misconceptions, and hopefully other future projects that we can also bring to you guys. So we're going to post the clip to that on our Patreon feed, which is kind of like a Facebook news feed or like a Twitter feed stream thing, whatever. Except that obviously it's on Patreon and not Facebook or Twitter. But you don't have to pay us anything to view this video, guys. We're going to put it up there for free, but we're going to put it on Patreon because that's just a good place to post all that stuff where everybody can come and see it instead of having to push it out to Twitter and Facebook and probably Google Plus if we wanted to be thorough. It's all going to be on Patreon. So that should be really helpful if you want to go check it out there. That's patreon.com/Nerdsync. And if you also wanted, while you're there, to support the show, we kept everything super affordable. If you wanted to do some any sort of support or help, we would really appreciate it. And with that said, I think we're going to end here, but next week, stay tuned. We're going to talk about the Gotham TV show. We're going to do a spoiler cast review sort of a thing about that. And I hope it's really good. I hear it's really good. So please join us next week for all that. And if you would, leave us a quick iTunes review. It doesn't take that long, and it helps us out tremendously. All right, guys. We'll see you next week.